Surprise! The world looks different in landscape. I'm starting my day at Shoreline North 185th Street Station to begin a quest to ride the entirety of Community Transit's Swift system in one day. To vastly oversimplify things, Community Transit is the transit provider for Snohomish County, except Everett, and Swift is their version of BRT. I'll be riding them in chronological order of their debut. Well, kind of. Also, I'm not necessarily trying to speed run the system, as I tend to lollygag, but with frequencies of every 10 minutes most of the day weekdays, another bus is never too far behind, so I take that extra minute to rail fan over Link. Very little is at risk here. Once I get myself to the correct bay, Bay 1, I use the platform booper. Swift lines have entirely off-board payment, so make sure to boop or purchase that ticket before you get on the bus. I wait for the diesel Excelsior to whip around from its layover space to take me on my first leg of this journey to Everett Station. I make my way to my preferred seat just behind the rear wheel well. These cloth seats are pretty comfortable, even if they're getting a bit worse for wear. The legroom is definitely stubby thumb approved, though. Right on time, the vehicle begins to leave the station, heading west on 185th before turning north on Meridian on our way to Aurora Village Transit Center. I know that I just mentioned that I would be completing this chronologically. Yes, the Blue Line did debut first, but this initial segment is actually the newest stretch. On September 14th, 2024, Swift Blue was extended into King County to connect with the newly opened Shoreline North Station, giving this line its only connection to Link Light Rail. It doesn't make any intermediate stops on this stretch, resulting in pretty efficient service. We turn on North 200th Street, stopping curbside at Aurora Village Transit Center to pick up quite a few passengers at the busy transfer point before continuing on to turn north on Aurora Avenue North for the vast majority of this trip. Sure, the road goes by many names such as Highway 99, Aurora Avenue, Pacific Highway, Evergreen Way, or Rucker Avenue, but it's all the same. Transit in the corridor began with the Seattle Everett Interurban Railway opening in 1910 before closing in 1939. After Community Transit's incorporation in 1976, it began to provide bus service to the corridor via Route 750 and then the 610. By the early 1990s, the 99 corridor was the busiest for both Community Transit and Everett Transit. In 2003, in order to increase frequency and reliability, they split the 610 into two routes, the 100 and 101. Although if you wanted to go anywhere within Everett city limits, you actually had to transfer to Everett Transit, as Community Transit did not operate within that city's boundaries. The demand was there, and beginning in the 1990s, Community Transit was working on a limited stop service which began to morph into a true bus rapid transit system. By 2005, the board approved the plans, and a few years later, a deal with Everett Transit was finally made for Community Transit to operate within the city. The line opened as Washington State's first BRT line on November 29, 2009, with 7 miles of bus lanes, longer stop spacing, transit signal priority along much of the route, off-board payments, etc. All of these improvements led to a time savings of 20 minutes when traveling the length of the corridor. Now that is what I call an improvement. And to this day, Swift Blue remains Community Transit's highest ridership route. With that said, I find much of the route to be a bit of a bore. It's on a wide strode lined with so many car dealerships, strip malls, drive-through espresso stands, and even a couple shuttered giant big box retailers. But then again, most commercial activity is clustered along the highway, forcing transit riders to brave crossing the strode and through the parking lots just to get some groceries. As we begin to approach Everett's downtown, we turn east on Pacific Avenue, passing the Imagine Children's Museum and the Snohomish County Courthouse campus. We continue to press east, crossing Broadway before turning south a bit to reach our northernmost terminus stop, Everett Station. Now, I was raised to always use the restroom whenever there is one available on a road trip, and I still keep that mindset today. After foaming over various Community Transit, Everett Transit, Skagit Transit, and heck, even the Sounder N line, I head into the pretty nice station. Just remember to remove that bag before heading into the restroom. Much better. Alright, now it's time for my next service, Swift Green. But the Green Line doesn't venture to Everett Station, so I need to get myself to its terminus at Seaway Transit Center. Everett Transit has quite a few different options to get there, but a Route 3 was already at the bay, so that's the one that I chose. I settle into my seat in the back next to the Gillig bar as I wait to depart. Route 3 stretches from here at Everett Station to Seaway Transit Center via downtown Everett. The schedule has variable frequencies, all better than an hour across its 18-hour span of service weekdays, 12 on Saturdays, and a span of service of only 9 hours on Sunday. The Gillig exits the station and first turns east on Pacific Street before utilizing Cedar and Everett to turn back west and proceed through downtown Everett. Everett Transit traces its route to the original transit provider to the city, Everett City Lines, which debuted in 1893, although it didn't become an official department of the city until 1969. Talks recently just picked back up, though, to merge with Community Transit. So we'll see how that goes. The bus turns south on Wetmore, passing the Village Theater and Funko's corporate headquarters and store. If you've never been, try it out. I don't even own a Funko item, but it's a fun place to get immersed in a bit of its pop culture theming. After passing Everett City Hall, the route shimmies over to Colby Ave to press south. Density begins to slowly fade down before the route turns west on 41st to connect with Mukilteo Boulevard through the forested steep slopes dug out by Pigeon Creek. At the crest, the routing turns south through the quaint residential areas along Dogwood and Beverly Lane. As we approach Glenwood Avenue, I officially give Everett Transit's Route 3 the stubby thumb of approval. Shortly after, the adjacent land uses turn into industrial and office parks, complete with an Amazon warehouse, of course. Seeing this traffic jam on Merrill Creek Parkway, caused by what I'm assuming to be a school drop-off line, really boggles my mind. Eventually, we make it to Seaway Boulevard and turn left. Moments later, Boeing's massive campus comes into view, which means we are also at Route 3's western terminus stop, Seaway Transit Center. Seaway Transit Center is located across the street from one of the many Boeing plants around and was actually constructed for the debut of the Swift Green Line. When it opened, all Community Transit and Everett Transit routes in the area were rerouted to serve the transit center rather than looping around the big campus. It saves time on the initial trip, but forces Boeing staff to transfer to a shuttle that runs every 12 minutes or so to get to their actual workplace. Seaway Transit Center also sees service via Sound Transit's 513, Everett Transit's 3, 8, 12, and 18, as well as Community Transit's 103, 907, and the reason I'm here today, the Swift Green Line. There isn't much around, but it is pleasant enough for me to hang around and imbibe in the caffeine I packed in my bag while taking in the transit sights. Not to repeat myself, but with headways of every 10 minutes, I'm not in a rush. With some newfound energy, I walk to the specified Green Line Bay, Bay 13, to boop and wait under the shelter for the driver to complete their break. Before long, the doors open and I find my wheel well seat. The stubby thumb was distracted, so how about a foot wiggle? 2 other passengers board, and before we leave, the driver makes an announcement asking everyone to keep their shoes on their feet this time. Don't have to ask me twice. But I am intrigued as to what happened on that last trip. Without further incident, the diesel Excelsior pulls out of the transit center on 75th Avenue Southwest to turn south onto Seaway Boulevard to kick off this trip. Coming off the success of the initial Swift line, now known as Swift Blue, Community Transit soon identified this corridor in 2013 for similar treatments. Construction began in 2017 on the planned route from the then yet-to-be-built Seaway Transit Center to Bothel's Canyon Park Park and Ride via Payne Field and Mill Creek. In fact, the Green Line opened for service on March 24, 2019, a few short weeks after Payne Field began offering commercial passenger flights. As we briefly merge onto Highway 526, the Boeing Everett Factory dominates the view. Covering nearly 100 acres and coming in at 472 million cubic feet, it is the largest building in the world by volume. It is so big that it developed its own weather systems inside, resulting in the need for advanced air circulation systems. The route exits the highway to turn south on Airport Road. We even stop at 100th Street Southwest in order to serve the Payne Field Passenger Terminal. They may only have a few flights per day, but I gotta check it out sometime. The smooth ride continues in a southeast direction on Airport Road. Seriously, it's remarkably chill. I know that because I can hear my fellow passengers snoring. Can't blame them. Get that rest in when you can. Soon we are crossing over Highway 99, where quite a few individuals are in the midst of transferring from Swift Blue. The landscape also changes from industrial to that classic suburban commercial residential. After stopping at 4th Avenue West near Mariner Park and Ride, we cross over I-5. McCollum Park lies just to the south and is the northern terminus of the Orange Line, but we'll get to that later. We finally make a turn at 16th Avenue Southeast to connect with Bothell Everett Highway to proceed south. We are actually interlined with Swift Orange for a bit here, and even share 2 stop pair platforms with them, with another requiring a short walk. Even though we are cutting through the heart of Mill Creek, it is a bit hard to tell as the development is focused inwards towards its lifestyle center-like heart. It's honestly pretty pleasant, but very suburban in feeling. Departing Mill Creek, we enter an area of hodgepodge of uses. Some open spaces, some single-family homes, giant senior living centers, drive-thrus, and plenty of shopping centers. Development fades away once again for a moment before multifamily residential and oh so many corporate offices like Phillips come back in force. Finally, as we reach 220th Street Southeast, we turn off to travel a few blocks through an office park to our southern terminus stop, Canyon Park, Park and Ride. Although, there are current plans to extend the Green Line all through Bothell and sharing 3 of those stops with the future Stride 3 line before terminating at Beardsley Boulevard. In addition to the Swift Green Line, Canyon Park has transfer connections to Community Transit's 106, 120, 121, and Sound Transit's 535. I appreciate the pedestrian bridge, but just be prepared to be next to the freeway and lots of construction. Between the caffeine kicking in and the fact that I'm not in a rush due to those 10-minute headways, I gotta find a restroom. Oh, the joys of a day on transit. No public restrooms are at the station, but follow me, I know just the place. Ah, much better. Now, for the last Swift line, the orange. I need to make my way back up to McCollum Park. I'm going to head back the exact same way that I came. I could catch a northbound green a block north, but I decided to walk my way back to Canyon Park. Swift stations are for the most part identical. There is a shelter with a cover, a few seats, a booper, 2 ticket machines, but generally not a place where you can purchase an Orca card, a small garbage can, some brief rider information, and a real-time arrival screen. When it's time to board, I go to take my regular seat and notice that this ride provides some free forbidden snacks. Yum! We leave the station via the freeway off-ramp to turn north back on Bothell Everett Highway. Is it just me or does Thrasher's Corner sound like a heavy metal music venue? And I'm here for it. After about 15 minutes longer on the familiar path, I get myself ready to deboard, but I don't pull a cord or ring a bell. All Swift lines stop at all stations, regardless. They are really going for that light rail feel with that. I exit the bus at Dumas Road, and, oh Swift. I hate to see you leave, but I love to watch you go. I then cross the street to enter McCollum Park Park and Ride and see my Orange Line vehicles. But I'm feeling good and want to stretch my legs. I loop around the site of the former dump. It's much more pleasant than it sounds. The Northwest Stream Center is at the south end of the park, and you could purchase admission to enjoy their elevated forest walk. I'm sure it's awesome, but I'm going with the free ground-level forest loop trail. Literally, it's just to the right. Cross over the bridge over North Creek and follow the arrows painted on the trees. It only takes about 15 minutes for the loop, but I highly recommend it. As much as I adore transit, it can be overstimulating sometimes. Not even necessarily in a bad way, but this forest loop was just what I needed before my last Swift line. Now, time to get back to the bus. I take the long way around as with Swift's weekday daytime headways of 10 minutes, I'm in a rush. I make my way back to McCollum Park Park and Ride, which, in addition to the Swift Orange Line, it also sees service on Community Transit's 106, 109, and 901. As I approach Bus Bay 4, I see the diesel Excelsior waiting for me. So I boop, board, and take my wheel well seat, and we're off. We leave the Park and Ride and head south on Dumas. The Swift Orange Line was approved in 2018, with construction finally starting in 2022 and debuted for service August 30th, 2024. The route stretches from here at McCollum Park to Edmonds College via Mill Creek, Alderwood, and Linwood City Center Station. At Everett Bothell Highway, we turn south through Mill Creek yet again before turning west on 164th Street Southwest. We pass through quite a bit of residential before stopping in front of Martha Lake, before continuing on through a commercial area dominated by a Walmart and other similar businesses. The route then crosses over I-5 before deviating a few short blocks to serve Ash Creek Park and Ride, before utilizing a roundabout round and to turn back around to 164th. Continuing west, we pass Swamp Creek Park and Ride, and we turn south on 36th Avenue West. This stretch of road starts off highly residential before commercial big box retailers and strip malls once again take over. Makes sense though as we saunter over to 33rd Avenue West to pass by the backside of the Alderwood Mall. The bus continues south before turning west on Alderwood Mall Boulevard, once again seeing the interurban trail before making our way to Linwood City Center Station. I'm a big fan of this station. It sees great service from both Sound Transit and Community Transit. It has a place to grab coffee, restrooms, a lovely plaza that will only get better as the surrounding buildings build out. It's great. After picking up the most passengers thus far in the Orange Line, we leave the transit center and head west on 196th Street Southwest. Scriber Lake Park can be a great place to stretch your legs, but sometimes the trails get a bit flooded, so watch out for that. Before long, we cross over Highway 99 with its connection to the Swift Blue Line. We then continue west before turning south on 68th Avenue West to approach our western terminus stop, Edmonds College Transit Center. Personally, I find calling this stop at Edmonds College a transit center to be a bit of a stretch, as besides the Orange Line, it only sees service via Community Transit's 114. Well, that's a wrap. All before noon. Not too shabby. Now let's head back to where it all started this morning, Shoreline North Station, while I recap. Swift Blue was the first BRT service in the state, and it set a decent bar. No, it doesn't compare to the best BRT systems in the world, but for a system dedicated to serving suburban areas of one county, it does a decent job. As it serves the same corridor just further north as King County Metro's E-Line, it shares many of the same challenges. The Strode is wide and traffic goes fast, often with massive parking lots flanking its sides. You may even come across some interesting characters sharing your ride. But Swift Blue has some pretty darn great headways, and with an average daily ridership of 6,159 in 2025, it must take riders to where they need to go. For that, I give it an A tier. Swift Green, on the other hand, is remarkably serene, as long as everyone keeps their shoes on. It's nice to see a high-capacity route like this be constructed seemingly in anticipation of higher densities rather than waiting. Aviation is also fascinating, so the peaks at Boeing do a fair amount of heavy lifting in my enjoyment of this routing. The planned extension should only make the service better and more useful. Not quite as often as the Blue Line, it still sees pretty good frequencies. In 2025, it had an average daily ridership of 2,668. For that, I give it a B tier. Swift Orange may be my hottest take of the three. Its connection to Link Light Rail at Linwood City Center Station is a huge perk of this route. Its east-west routing also helps to connect to multiple other transit centers and services, including one of the largest shopping centers around at Alderwood. Just one stop off light rail. It sees slightly better frequencies than the Green Line, and its average daily ridership in 2025 was 2,826. So for that, I give it an S tier. Overall, Swift is easy to use, especially for those new or unfamiliar to transit. Its goal of a light rail experience on wheels helps to improve the public's perception of buses while doing a pretty great job of providing useful transit to Snohomish County. I'm excited to see the Green Line connection come to life and the Gold Line pushing even further north into Marysville come to fruition. There is always room for improvement, but thanks for the great Swift rides, Community Transit. Now, it's time to head back home.